Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the LEGO Legend of Zelda Custom Set Showcase, where today we are taking a look at Z090. This is an 18 plus set with 876 pieces, and in my eyes is the spiritual successor to the Hyrule Botanical Collection. This is the Material Collection. Specifically, this model takes a variety of items and accessories from Breath of the Wild and puts them all in a box together, like so many people are asking for across Mario, and is designed to accentuate the flowers that we've seen in the past. As mentioned, it is an 18 plus set with 876 pieces with a retail price of $89.99. No minifigures in this one, but technically a brick-built creature if you count the fairy. The item choices that I've made are probably going to be a little bit controversial, but before we take a look at them each one by one, let's quickly read our set description and open up our box. Build a collection of trinkets from the land of Hyrule for your shelf with a material collection from the LEGO Legend of Zelda. A mix of collectibles, cooking, and Hyrule wildlife pairs perfectly with the Hyrule Botanical Collection and other Zelda display pieces to show your love for Hyrule. And that is assuming, of course, that you like Monster Extract and Bokoblin Guts. But in seriousness, I lummed and ahed over what would translate best into LEGO form, and obviously which ones were super iconic and had to be here, which is why your pot and your fairy are here, and the rupees are here. And then some cooking materials. I felt that the butter would do a good translation, and mushroom felt super iconic. And then there were a couple other bits, like I knew I wanted some enemy remains, and the guts felt like the perfect one. In this set, there are 9 numbered bags. As you can imagine, usually it is 1 bag per thing. So let's open up that manual and see for ourselves. Bag 1 builds the rupees. Bag 2 does the Boko guts. Bag 3 does the mushroom, but also the monster extract. Both of those are very small. And bag 4 does the Hylian butter. Bag 5 is your pinecone. And then bag 6 is the fairy, followed by bags 7 and 8 to build the pot, and then 9 to build the botanical of this set, which is the Blue Nightshade, which is a lovely build that I actually do have in real life. So a fantastic little lineup, and of course you could put any flower you like in that pot. We'll talk about the combinability later on. But for now, let's go through those builds one by one and take a look at all the details up close. So let's start with my favorite, which I think has to be the fairy. This is just such an unbelievable upgrade over the last time we did fairies. Now, admittedly, give me a little bit of slack. This fairy is quite different from Tattle and Tail, and also it's in a different scale, I want to pretend. But yeah, that Tattle and Tail set needs a remaster. This is the Breath of the Wild fairy. It is largely made up of these 2 dome pieces here in transparent pink that are clipped to some grey hinges behind, and then have the wings coming out behind. The wings were loosely inspired by the LEGO Ideas insect set and the butterfly that came in there, using a variety of dark turquoise, aqua, and white pieces to create these sort of glinting scales, and particularly using pentagonal tiles and various different shapes to recreate the specific sort of parts that you see on insect wings, which obviously is what inspired the fairy. The top and the bottom wings can move separately from each other, and the whole thing is on a transparent stand resting on one of these 4x4 rounded pieces down here, which I love. I think it looks really, really clean and is probably the most professional model in this set bar one, which we'll talk about next. It felt absolutely like a no-brainer that I had to have a fairy here. I think the only thing I could have added, of course, would have been to add some studs loose inside the center to sort of give that sort of glowing effect. Maybe we could have added like a 3x3 ball in white or something to create a glow. But I think I'm really happy with it, and I'd really love to have this one day, which is something that I did for the flowers and so on, but probably won't ever do for like the mushroom. I don't think I care that much. Let's talk about the most accurate one, and the one that had weirdestly the most development hours into it, and that is the Hylian butter, which you can see here recreates the item near perfectly, even down to the little slope where the butter has been cut off at the front, and this has been angled onto some slopes, and the gaps have been covered. This entire thing uses a load of brackets to get the offset just right so that it's actually a perfect rectangle, and you'll notice it's completely smooth. There's no sort of overlap or half stud gaps or anything. Everything is done perfectly, which is why I say so much development time went into it. The actual butter is colored in tan, which looks a little confusing when you look at the mushroom, but oh well, it works out just fine. And then you've got dark blue with the little string cord that's tied around it in dark red. I really love how this looks out. I'm trialing this build this summer, so fingers crossed we'll have Hylian butter as instructions before too long. But as for why I chose it, I had all of the food items in front of me, and I wanted a processed food item. We have the mushrooms in this set to be the raw stuff that you pick up, and the blue nightshade and acorns as well. I wanted something that you could only buy from a shop, and to me butter was the best choice. And if you want an extra personal bonus reason, I really like the fish pie in Breath of the Wild. It is my favorite recipe in the game because I think it looks funny, and butter is an ingredient in that. So there's another reason for you, but the other reasons were legitimate, but I was very glad to be able to make Hylian peanut butter. Uh, Next up, let's talk about the mushroom. This one was a surprise hit. I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it, and I was messing around with curved pieces, and I really fell for the macaroni joint. So that's how we got the smaller one coming off the side, using these dome pieces, which are recolored into the new reddish orange color because it's perfect for the mushrooms. They should have a subtle print on them, but you can't see that in this image here. The bigger stalk is made up of the 3x3 dishes that were introduced for X-Wings a couple of years ago and have shown up in a variety of places. And then the base which joins them is just a rough 2x2 square with some brackets. Doing my best there. Most of this comes from the mushroom heads, but I actually really love how I was able to get that angle of the two different sizes, and I love it when different scaled parts come together like that. I really love having the 3x3s for the stem, and that new big dome piece is just wonderful as well. So really happy with this one as well. This one obviously is just a no-brainer. Hylian mushrooms, specifically the Hylian shrooms, are just so iconic to the base game that they had to be here. A technique that I knew from the beginning I wanted to do was actually the pine cone. I didn't know if I was going to include it, but once I decided on it, I knew exactly how I was going to layer up these circles, and that is just done on a variety of clips that are attached to octagonal plates at different angles. There's a big dish at the bottom so that they're all safe and they're just sort of wedged in, and I really like how this layers up over time. The shape is slightly squished, and it's probably about the right size actually compared to everything else, but obviously it's not the most Zelda-y one, but it was a nice easy inclusion, and obviously it's Breath of the Wild. We need wild things. Yes, I'm aware it was only in Tears of the Kingdom. I'm being a little bit naughty here, but I really like it and how it aesthetically meshes. I just know that the comment section is going to be full of everyone telling me that I should have picked different materials, but this is what we've got. Maybe we'll do a sequel if you guys like it. This is technically already a sequel to the Botanical Collection, but I do like the vibe, and I feel like there are so many iconic trinkets from the from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that could suit like a adulty display setup with the flowers and a couple of other builds. Moving on though, we got the monster extract up next, which is just a vial effectively. Again, I was looking for man-made kind of materials, and I wanted to have a bit of a representation of either dark or monster in extract stuff, and it felt like a good choice because the monster stuff is pretty iconic. So again, this is used as just dome pieces with a bit of a snot technique in the middle. We got a chance to use a lacquered gold element on the bottom for the base, and then a wheel is actually what's being used for the stopper at the top, which I really like. But there's not much to say about this one. It's very simple. It's something a bit different. It has a unique shape, which again is another big reason for including stuff like this, and it complements the pot really well, as you'll see later on. Lastly, for the squishy stuff, we have the monster guts here, which was a really fun build to come up with because it's so curvy, and obviously Lego doesn't like curves. I was inspired to include this one because I wanted a monster drop, and I didn't want the horns. The horns were boring to me, so the guts felt like the best choice, and the Boko guts are the most iconic. They're also in a really nice purple color. We're using magenta here, using a variety of different curved slopes at different elevations around a snot core that give it its sort of bubbliness, and then a load of dots tiles to recreate the veins that go through it. My favorite part though is definitely the use of different sized rounded elements and open studs to create all the arteries and stuff that come out the top of the heart. You'll notice a superhero poser piece, and then the 2x2 round one at an angle, and then one directly up, and I really love that because it's what sells it as an organ and not just a blob. So very pleased with how that one turned out, and a perfect inclusion that makes a lot of sense for the Breath of the Wild play loop. Speaking of the Breath of the Wild play loop, the other one that makes a lot of sense is of course the rupees. We get two in this set, one green and one blue, because it felt heinous not to include them. They are oversized, yes, but that's because they look cool. They use a variety of techniques to get the shapes. Again, they're largely snot built around a straight core. The two edges where there are straight tiles going up were actually really hard to work out. We did that on stream and that was quite difficult, but then all of the other tiles sort of come together and just look fabulous. So really happy with the shape. They're a little bit elongated, but I do love how they look, and as I said, too large, but a really fun build to have two of, and it makes a lot of sense. Again, truly iconic, just like the fairy. There's not much to say about them, obviously. I was hoping to have some hidden space inside. That would have been where figures were included, but 18 plus sets like this rarely include figures unless you're a Disney set. So don't know who I would have included here. Probably like sales vendors or something, and then everyone would have been angry that I included rubbish figures. But oh well, no figures in this set. So let's move on to the final pair of builds, which is the pot and the blue nightshade. Separating them out though, first let's take a look at the pot. The pot has 4 prints around the dome, and that is with this wiggly white line like you would see in game. It is based off the Breath of the Wild pot, specifically the small ones that you find around the Temple of Time. I'm really pleased with the sort of curvature. It's definitely a little small, but again, it was designed to suit the flowers. Unfortunately, the opening at the top is very small, meaning you can only fit 1, probably 2 flowers from the Botanical Collection at a push in at a time, which is not what I originally wanted. But in theory, you could always take the top portion off and maybe that rim of curved slopes that go around down there, and then open it up a little bit more so that you could put a whole range of flowers in, because it's Lego and you can take it apart. These sides are largely built again around a snot core. It's very strong on the inside and then just has brackets facing off and then some angled segments to create the rounded shape. The curved slopes around the top and the bottom are really what sell it as a pot, and then you've got this dark brown, or should I just say normal brown, stripe that goes around the edge. The top of the pot is inverted using stamp pieces, and again is where you put your flower, in this case the blue nightshade, which take a look at now. There's not really a huge amount to say about this, just a nice showcase of rounded shapes, and pot is also incredibly iconic to Zelda. The blue nightshade is built then in the same style as the modern botanicals, which is actually slightly different from the original botanicals because shockingly time has passed and I've improved as a builder. However, this one does still work really well with the botanicals. Case in point, all of my convention displays have had the blue nightshade with the Silent Princess, Electric Safina, and Hyrule Herb, meaning that this fits in really, really well, and I'm looking forward to expanding the bouquet and showing you what it will look like here. Of course, though, the blue nightshade itself has the big bluebells. These were rare until recently, but the blue flower pieces appeared on Bricks and Pieces and pick-a-brick walls in stores. The new leaves I'll actually decide to change out for the ones that came on the mini orchid, but I actually designed this last year before that part came out, so what do you know? And then we've got this lovely curve where you start off with a lot of flowers at the bottom, and then this decreases as you go up to the top until it's just one at the end, which I really love, and it makes this one recognizable, which I think is really cool. Yeah, you can change out this one, of course, for the Silent Princess. You can see here the Silent Princess being put in the pot, and as I mentioned, you could scatter these around on a shelf with some of the other sort of lifestyle builds, maybe the Champion's Photo. Actually, some builds that you're going to see in a couple of weeks would suit this really well, and then of course, as I mentioned, the original botanical collection. So love how this looks. I'm really pleased with this as a collection. Let's see it on the board and wrap up our final thoughts now. So that's going to do it for Z090, the Material Collection. I think this one is a worthy successor to the Botanical Collection, and while maybe it makes some weird choices with the items it's included, I think there's a reason behind all of them, and of course you could always open the room for more. I didn't want this set to go too far into the 100 range and up from there and be like the Hogwarts icons, or I guess the Mighty Bowsers to an extent. I wanted it to stick around 80, as that's where I felt was sort of fair for this. I really do think it would pair really well with the Botanical Collection. Obviously it's really hard to show because the botanicals wouldn't fit well in the pot, but you can just imagine these scattered across a desk or a worktop with your other Zelda builds, a bit like we do with other themes. So let's add it to the lineup. Here's the first 100 with only 3 gaps left now. We're almost there, and we'll almost be ready to continue and move forward now. In fact, I should mention that on the 1st of August, we'll be starting daily community post where you guys get to vote on which of these 100 sets is your favorite. So go check out the community post starting on August 1st. We're going to do heats daily for 25 days, and then we'll start choosing the best from there. So have a chance, have a watch back, see which sets are your favorite, and see which ones you think are going to win from the random brackets, but be sure to vote. As for these last 3 sets, which you will see before they come up in the votes, we're doing 2 at once next time with this specific set here. They're quite small, but you may notice that hook at the top. We got some more lifestyle stuff coming our way, but that will just leave us with 1 more set after this, which is very, very exciting, and I look forward to seeing that come to fruition. I hope you guys are excited. Let me know what you think of the Material Collection down below, and have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you guys again very soon. Bye bye.